The studio lights glow bright. The familiar theme music rises, and just like that, we are back inside the world of Jeopardy! The board lights up, categories shimmering in blue, as contestants grip their buzzers. There's tension in the air, but also excitement. Tonight's category feels different, heavier, more reflective. Their last film. You can almost feel the shift in the room. Because this isn't just trivia, it's memory, it's legacy. It's the final curtain call. Let's do their last film for $400. The first clue appears, and the audience leans in. A name flashes on the screen. Eric buzzes in quickly. Who is Tom Cruise? A confident answer, a big star, a global name. But the host shakes his head gently. No. That small, descending tone echoes softly, signaling a missed opportunity. And suddenly, the question feels heavier. Because when we talk about someone's last film, we're not just talking about credits on a screen. We're talking about the final chapter of a career. Roger buzzes in. Who is Kilmer? The host smiles. Yes, Val Kilmer, and there it is. The correct answer. A ripple moves through the audience. Because Val Kilmer wasn't just an actor. He was intensity. He was presence. He was transformation. And now, the board reminds us that every career, no matter how iconic, has a final frame. You can almost feel that moment settle in, but the game moves forward. Italwe Eders. Their last film for $2,000. High stakes now. Big money, bigger pressure, the clue appears. Veronica doesn't hesitate. Who's Terry Gilliam? Correct. The crowd applauds. A $2,000 swing can change everything in a game like this. But what's interesting is how calm she remains. Because beneath the strategy and speed, this category demands something else. Memory, respect, and a sense of cinematic history. You can feel it in the rhythm of the round. This isn't rapid-fire pop culture. This is reflection disguised as competition. Their last film, $1,600. The clue appears. Veronica buzzes again. What is dogfight? There's a pause. The host looks down. No, a collective inhale, close but not correct. And that's the thing about final films. They're often misunderstood. Sometimes they're small releases. Sometimes they arrive quietly. Sometimes they're overshadowed by the legend that came before them. Roger buzzes. What is always? Yes. And just like that, the board shifts again. Momentum changes. That's the beauty of this game. Every answer reshapes the story. But what's fascinating tonight is how each clue feels like a farewell. Each correct response ISN Jus Trivia. It's our reminder that time moves forward even for icons. Their last film for $1,200. Another clue. He was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. A subtle murmur runs through the room, because that film itself was about legacy, about endings, about a changing era. The buzzer clicks. Who is Reynolds? A confident tone. Yes, Debbie Reynolds is right. Applause, warm, respectful. And for a moment, the energy shifts from competition to appreciation, because Debbie Reynolds represented more than roles. She represented an era, grace, classic Hollywood resilience. And now, her name appears under a category that carries weight. You can almost feel the room honoring something unspoken. But the game continues. Italwe Eders. We tally the scores. We move to the next clue. Yet something lingers in the air. This category has done something subtle. It has reminded everyone watching at home and in the studio that careers are stories, and stories have endings. But here's what makes it powerful. An ending doesn't erase what came before. It completes it. And as the board clears, as the contestants breathe between rounds. One quiet truth settles in. Every last film is also a final thank you. But what happened next would change the mood entirely. The round continues, but something has shifted. The contestants are still playing for points, still calculating wagers, still measuring risk. Yet, the emotional temperature in the room has changed. Because when you say the words last film, you're not just naming a project, you're marking a moment in time. You're drawing a line between before and after. And in a place built on speed and sharp thinking, that realization slows everything down. You can almost hear it in the pauses between buzzers. The board refreshes. The host steps forward slightly. There's a professionalism to the rhythm of the show, but also a quiet reverence tonight. Each clue feels like opening an old photograph album. You recognize the faces. You remember the performances. You recall where you were when you first saw them on screen. And then you're reminded that one day, the screen went dark. That's what makes this category different. It asks for more than just knowledge. It asks for connection. Roger adjusts his grip on the buzzer. Veronica glances briefly at the scoreboard. Eric takes a measured breath. They are competitors. But they are also viewers, fans, witnesses to cinematic history. Another clue appears. The studio lights reflect off the polished floor. A small silence stretches, and in that silence, you can almost sense the weight of legacy. Because the final film of an actor isn't always their biggest. It's not always their most celebrated. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's unexpected. Sometimes it's released without the fanfare their earlier work received. But it carries something unique. Finality. And that word changes everything. The host reads carefully, his tone steady but softer now. The game moves forward, answers ring out. Correct responses earn applause. Incorrect ones draw sympathetic murmurs. But underneath it all, the theme holds steady. Their last film. Their final appearance. Their closing scene. You begin to realize something profound. This category isn't about endings. It's about impact. The fact that we remember these final roles at all means something. It means the work mattered. It means the performances left an imprint. It means audiences cared enough to look back. And that realization adds depth to every dollar amount on the board. 400, 800, 1,200, 1,600, 2,000. They're just numbers, yes, but tonight they feel symbolic. Each value represents not just difficulty, but significance. The higher the number, the deeper the memory required. And as the clues grow more challenging, so does the atmosphere. You can see it in the contestants' expressions, focus, respect, determination. Because nobody wants to miss a question that feels this meaningful. Another buzzer, another name. Another ripple of applause. And somewhere in the audience, someone nods quietly, remembering a performance that once moved them. That's the invisible power of cinema. Even years later, even in a trivia setting, it connects people across generations, across genres, across time. But here's the twist no one expected. As the round nears its end, the emotional arc becomes clear. What started as a competitive category has become something reflective, almost ceremonial, like a tribute hidden inside a game. And that's when you realize this isn't just about who answered correctly, it's about who is remembered. Because being part of a last film category means your work endured long enough to matter. It means your presence left a mark strong enough that years later, people still recall your final bow. In a world that moves so fast, that kind of legacy is rare. The board clears. The round ends. But the mood lingers. And just when you think the emotional peak has passed, The host smiles gently. We're so glad you're here. A simple sentence, yet it lands differently now. Because after reflecting on so many final chapters, the present moment feels precious. Så tins leitenof, but tonight's an invitation. A reminder to keep watching, to keep remembering, to celebrate stories while they're still being written. Because one day, every story reaches its final scene. But until then, there are more clues to uncover. And what the contestants realize next made this episode unforgettable. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. But what truly makes a last film so powerful? It's not about perfection, it's about perspective. When we look back at an actor's career, we rarely isolate just one performance. Instead, we see a mosaic rolls layered over decades, representing triumphs, risks, and constant reinvention. And yet, the final entry in that filmography carries a quiet, undeniable gravity. It becomes the closing note of a long, beautiful symphony. In the studio, the contestants och strategy dollar the win. But for viewers at home, something else is happening. They remember childhood movie nights with their parents. They remember sitting in a dark theater with family, completely captivated. They remember lines of dialogue that once felt larger than life, words that became part of their own vocabulary. Suddenly, a simple trivia clue isn't just a clue anymore. It's a doorway into personal memory. That's the powerful emotional undercurrent driving this episode. And it's why this particular category resonates far beyond the confines of the competition. Because cinema isn't just entertainment. It's a shared experience. It's a cultural timestamp. It's the soundtrack of entire eras. And when an actor's final film appears on that board, it truly marks the end of an era for someone watching. Maybe not for everyone, but for someone, that clue is a deeply personal moment. You can almost sense that invisible connection stretching from the bright stage lights all the way to living rooms across the world. That's the hidden magic of this moment, and that's precisely why the category feels so much bigger than the game itself. But just when the reflection and nostalgia threaten to slow the pace down too much, the energy spikes right back up. A quick buzzer hit. A bold was taken everything. Because even in an episode steeped in reflection, the thrill of competition never disappears. It's that constant tension, the push and pull between memory and momentum, that creates something truly special. The rhythm of the game suddenly mirrors the very careers being discussed. Fast, then slow, then fast again. A breakthrough role that launches a career, the peak years of stardom. A surprising reinvention that wins over a new generation. And finally, the final act. It's all there, compressed into a single board of blue squares. As we move deeper the hummed round, one true deniable stade finite. Because without an ending, there is no complete story. There's no final chapter to give the whole narrative its shape and meaning. And in that realization, the entire category transforms. It stops being something sad or morbid. Instead, it becomes something profoundly meaningful, a celebration of a story well told. Think about it. The final role is the last time an artist gets to communicate with their audience. It's their last word. And in that context, the performance takes on a new layer of significance. It's not just a character. It's a farewell. For the contestants, it's a chance to prove their knowledge. But for us, it's an invitation to appreciate the full scope of a legacy. Each correct response doesn't just add money to a player's score. It honors a piece of cinematic history. It's a collective acknowledgement of the impact these actors had on our lives. We're not just watching a game show. We're participating in a tribute. The fast-paced nature of the questions forces us to recall these films instantly, proving just how ingrained they are in our cultural consciousness. And that's the beautiful duality of this whole segment. It's a high-stakes intellectual battle, but it's also a deeply communal and emotional experience. The game respects the past while living intensely in the present. As the last clue on the board is revealed, there's a collective breath held. It's more than just the end of a round. It's the final punctuation mark on several incredible stories. It's a reminder that while the credits may roll, the art itself is timeless. Thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed this look behind the scenes, be sure to subscribe for more. But here's the part nobody expected. As viewers sit there, thinking about the last roles of these incredible performers, something else starts to bubble up. They start thinking about their own timelines, their own unfinished chapters. And you realize, legacy isn't just some Hollywood buzzword reserved for movie stars. It's a deeply human concept. We all think about it. And just like that, a simple trivia category about final films becomes incredibly philosophical. It makes you ask yourself, what do we leave behind? What are the moments that truly define us? What will people remember when we're gone? These are heavy questions, right? But they arrive so gently, almost sneakily, hidden inside a game show. That's the subtle brilliance of this entire episode. It doesn't come out and shout, "Hey, let's get profound." It just unfolds that way, naturally drawing you in without you even realizing it. The host guides the conversation with such care, allowing these moments of reflection to breathe. The contestants, you can see it on their faces, are processing it too. They came here to win money, but they're getting something more, something deeper. It's a shared experience, not just for them, but for everyone watching at home. The studio lighting seems to soften just a little, creating this intimate, almost reverent atmosphere. You see close-ups of audience members, and they're not just watching a game. They're lost in thought. Maybe they're thinking about a loved one, or a favorite movie that shaped their childhood, or a promise they made to themselves long ago. The episode masterfully weaves these personal moments into the fabric of the competition. It's a testament to the power of storytelling. How a simple premise can connect with us on such a fundamental level. It reminds us that behind every performance, every piece of art, there's a person with a story, just like us. And just as you're floating in this sea of introspection, the energy shifts again. As the final clues are revealed, the tension ratchets right back up. You can feel it in the air. The scoreboard is incredibly tight. We're talking about a situation where a single correct answer could change absolutely everything. The audience leans forward. You can almost hear a collective intake of breath. The contestants' faces are pure focus, their eyes locked on the board. The game's full throttle. It's a brilliant piece of production, pulling you from deep thought right back to the edge of your seat. This is what makes great television. But even with the competition at its peak, there's something else lingering beneath that tension. It's a softer feeling, a sense of gratitude. Gratitude for these amazing performances we've been discussing. Gratitude for the artistry and the dedication that goes into creating something timeless. And gratitude for time itself, for the moments we get to share and the stories we get to experience. It's a beautiful, complex mix of emotions, all happening at once. The contestants aren't just competing against each other anymore. They're part of a celebration, a tribute to the very art form the show is about. It adds this whole other layer to the final moments of the round. And when that round finally concludes, the applause that erupts in the studio is different. It's not just for the winners, not just for the person who got the last answer right. It's for the names that were remembered, the legends that were honored. The lights dim slightly as the show prepares to transition to the next segment. And for a brief, perfect moment, a profound silence holds the room. It's not an awkward, empty silence. It's the kind of silence that feels full, respectful, and shared. A collective pause to let everything sink in. Then, just as gracefully as it faded, the music swells back up. The energy returns to the studio. The host smiles. The game moves on. Because that's what stories do, isn't it? They continue. They evolve. Even after the final frame of a film, even after the credits roll on an episode, the story keeps going. It lives on in our conversations, in our memories, and in the way it changes our perspective, even just a little bit. What an incredible episode. It's so much more than just a game. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to subscribe for more. See you next time. No amount of points can capture the profound sense of honor you feel in that instant. It's a quiet tribute, a silent acknowledgement of a career, a life, and the art they left behind. This wasn't just about winning anymore. It was about honoring. And yet, it may be the most important takeaway from the night. Because in the end, trivia isn't just about facts and figures. It's not just a competition of who knows more. At its best, it's about preserving memory. It's about community, shared culture, and the stories that bind us together. This category did exactly that. It reminded everyone in that room, and everyone watching at home, that behind every piece of trivia is a human story. These actors weren't just names in a question. They were people who dedicated their lives to their craft, leaving behind a body of work that continues to move and inspire us. This simple trivia category transformed into a beautiful, collective act of remembrance. It wasn't about the speed of the answer, but the depth of the feeling behind it. The game became a vehicle for something much deeper, a celebration of legacy. And as the final question was answered, a sense of closure filled the room. It proves that even in the most competitive settings, our shared humanity can shine through. The most powerful moments are often the ones that remind us of our connection to each other and to the stories that shape our world. That night, the contestants learned a valuable lesson. The most memorable victories aren't always the ones that come with a trophy. Sometimes, the real prize is the shared experience of remembering something meaningful together. It's the feeling of being part of a collective memory, honoring those who came before us. It's a powerful reminder that while facts can be forgotten, the impact of a life and their art can last forever. And that's a truth worth more than any point on a scoreboard. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content that looks beyond the surface. We'll see you in the next one.